Hi guys, so Andrew Bailey, who is the chief of the Bank of England, spoke to The Guardian about the economic forecast for both the pandemic and for Brexit. Now, he was quite optimistic when it came to the pandemic. He was not so optimistic when it came to a no deal Brexit. So let's hear what he had to say, and I'll come back with a comment.
It's in the best interest of both sides, so both the UK and the EU, for there to be a trade agreement.
Yeah.
And for that trade agreement to have, as I was just saying earlier, a strong element of goodwill around it in terms of how it's implemented. I think there's no question about that. And COVID obviously is a much bigger impact at the moment in the short run. But for all the reasons that you've given and we've just discussed, it would be better to have a trade deal. Yes, no question about that. The models would suggest that the longer term effects of a WTO no deal trade agreement are longer term. And the reason for that, I think, and this is pretty well established in the literature, is that it takes a much longer period of time for what I might call the real side of the economy to adjust to the change in openness and to the change in the profile of trade, because both are highly uncertain.
Yeah.
I'm at the rather more optimistic end on the COVID front. And actually, we are collectively relative to, say, the IMF.
Okay, so what is he talking about here? Well, he's optimistic about the recovery for the economy after the pandemic. Now, let's have a look at some of the forecasts that he's also talking about. We have here the current status of GDP, the economic impact of the pandemic itself. This data is from the Commons Library, so you can access it too. It says here GDP in September was 8% below pre-pandemic levels. So you can see how GDP dropped by 25% in April, a massive drop here because that was in the first wave and you had a lockdown. Now it has recovered to be at the level of minus 8% of GDP, which is a massive recovery, but we'll see why that's the case in a moment. Now, the Bank of England GDP forecasts seem to extend beyond this date, show a recovery. So we're in a recovery at the moment, but we're seeing probably returning to normal levels sometime in 2022, probably at the beginning of 2022. And then as you can see, it extends out and there is recovery in the normal sense, probably up to perhaps even 5% extra in GDP. Now, why is this the case? Why is the economy improving? Is it because it's naturally returning to its normal cycle? No, not really, because the government have injected a huge amount of cash, £200 billion this year. Now, this means that the government are able to help businesses. They're able to help workers with the furlough scheme, for example, businesses with loans, grants. This was the correct thing to do. You need to help businesses. You need to help individuals. And this, of course, stimulated the economy. Businesses were able to remain open. Individuals were able to live. They were able to buy things. They were able to maintain some level of living. Now, the consequence of this is that it has driven up the public debt. It's currently stands at over £2 trillion. Or 103% of GDP. Now, when he was talking about Brexit, he said he's less optimistic. So, well, why can't the government just pump a huge amount of money into the Brexit problem and it will resolve it quickly? No, it won't, because there are a number of things that are outside the control of the UK. The UK can't control everything. When it comes to the pandemic, you can pump money into the economy. Probably as we get a vaccine, as the numbers decrease, the spread decreases, we'll be able to return to some sort of normality. I don't think it'll be the same as before, but we are able to return to some form of normality in the sense that the economy can recover. When it comes to Brexit, it's not the same because you can't just throw money. You have to hire people, for example, to do customs checks. You need to train these people. You also need to inform and train businesses to deal with exporting or importing in a way that they didn't do in the past. So this takes time and it takes money, and this is going to have a long-term negative impact on the economy. trade, certain things regarding trade are outside the UK's power. And of course, we don't know the full impact that Brexit is going to have. Brexiteers seem to think everything is going to be jolly, but I don't think that's the case. We know that even with Brexiteer ministers like Michael Gove, who've said that there's going to be a massive impact, negative impact on, in January from Brexit. Going forward, the Bank of England are not very confident about this. They're quite pessimistic, and they are the experts. If they say things are going to be pretty bad, then we can be pretty sure that they are right. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.